Welcome back to A Global Kitchen. I'm really excited to share with you today's recipe. In Vietnamese, it's called Bánh Tráng Trộn. It's basically a type of shredded rice paper salad, and it's one of my favorite Vietnamese street foods. I first learned about it in 2013 when I was walking around Saigon's 3rd district near a roundabout called Turtle Lake. I saw university and high school students hanging out, munching on a bunch of popular street snacks like grilled rice paper and this fabulous concoction. I learned these were relatively new street foods dating back to sometime in the late 2000s. On that day, there were several vendors selling this snack. They'd set up with all the ingredients laid out in a basket, and each customer could customize what they wanted in it. While the vendors used some meat, seafood, and eggs, I veganized today's recipe, and I think it's really delicious. It's really quick to assemble, but you do have to do a little bit of mise en place. So some chopping of tofu and mango, and some picking of herbs. I'm using a small bit of smoked tofu. You could also use some store-bought marinated tofu or slice up some leftover fried tofu. Cut it 1/4 inch thick and into 1-inch pieces. Set it aside next to some bean sprouts. Other types of sprouts will also work. I'm using an unripe mango. Most of the mangoes in the grocery store are in their ripening process. I like their tartness for this. Peel it and slice it 1/4 inch thick and into 1-inch pieces, like the tofu. For a sweet, mild onion flavor, thinly slice some whole scallions. It's good to use 3 different types of herbs if you can. I regularly use cilantro and mint, picking the leaves from their stems. I also like to use Thai basil for its anise flavor. Lemon basil or Vietnamese coriander also work well. For larger leaves, just tear them or roughly chop them into smaller pieces. Mix all of the herbs together and set them next to the other ingredients. For the drizzling sauce over the shredded rice paper, you want to use annatto seed oil. If you don't have that, but you've recently made some crispy fried shallots, use some shallot oil. And if you're in a pinch, use some coconut oil. For the chili heat part, I like to use Thai bird chilies with the seeds scraped out and finely chopped. Or you could use some sambal oelek. So for the drizzling sauce, we're going to need the juice of a lime. So just roll it over the cutting board to loosen up the pulp and get those juices flowing. Squeeze a tablespoon of lime juice into a bowl. Spoon in a teaspoon of sugar, a couple teaspoons of soy sauce, and water. And today I'm going to use some sambal oelek, about a 1/2 teaspoon or so. Don't forget to drizzle in a couple teaspoons of annatto oil. Stir it until the sugar is completely dissolved. So we have our drizzling sauce made. We have all of the ingredients ready to mix with the rice paper rolls ready. And in advance, I chopped up some toasted unsalted peanuts and I'm using some crispy fried onions today. But if you have homemade crispy fried shallots, here's a chance to use them. If you're gonna make this, I recommend you use a newly opened package of rice paper. I learned during the testing of this recipe that if I used rice paper that had been lying around in my cupboards for a while, they'd shatter more easily when I cut them with scissors compared to the ones from a newly opened package. Open a new package of rice paper and take out 3 sheets and set a shallow bowl or tray in front of you. I like to use the woven rattan-like patterns on the rice paper as a guide when I cut them into strips with a pair of scissors. Working over the bowl or shallow tray, cut the rice paper into 1/2-inch wide strips. If you're using rice paper that's been open for a while and exposed to the air, the strips may break a bit and not be continuous and long compared to cutting rice paper from a newly opened package. I highly recommend wearing a kitchen-grade plastic glove or making one out of a sandwich baggie so that you can mix and massage the rice paper, and you don't want any of those essential oils from the chili getting on your skin and then touching your eyes, and that would hurt for a while. Place the rice paper strips. I use 3 8.5-inch round rice papers per portion into a large bowl. Drizzle about a scant tablespoon of the sauce over the rice paper. Massage the rice paper for about 30 seconds. You'll notice they'll start to lose their crispness and become slightly limp. Add in a good pinch of the mango, tofu, scallions, bean sprouts, herbs, peanuts, and fried shallots, and massage for another 10 seconds or so. for a total of about 45 seconds. Then quickly transfer them to a plate or bowl. The longer you massage the rice paper, there's a tendency for it to start to stick together. So you need to be quick when you're massaging it, transferring it to a serving dish, and most importantly, eating it. If not, there's a good chance the rice paper strips will stick together, making it harder to eat. When this has happened to me, I've been known to cut it with a knife and fork into bite-sized pieces. I know it's sacrilege, but it's more manageable to eat. The flavors and the textures are still just as delicious and addictive. So as you can see, it's really easy to assemble. You can use pantry ingredients or store-bought substitutions. And then mixing it together takes 45 seconds to a minute at the most. But then you really need to eat it within the next couple of minutes, or just realize that some of the rice paper is gonna stick together and it'll be a little bit clumsy to eat at times. But that's why it's better to make it in a single portion or at most a double portion. Don't try making it in a larger batch because it's just gonna be a massive rice paper strips. If you try the recipe, let me know how it turned out. Let me know if you had any challenges, and hopefully I can help you out. If you haven't already subscribed to A Global Kitchen, I'd love if you do that. Thanks for watching today. Bye, and happy cooking.